TV for the star now. We back at you. It is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't. I told you with the future perspectives, man. They saying in this news clip that just came out today, I believe. Yep. I done said this in a few videos prior, as far as things that we got now that our children ain't gonna even know that existed by the time they get our age. Pay attention.
Ever wonder what we'll be eating 10 or even 20 years from now? Popular food and entertaining magazine Bon Appetit brought in experts to help answer this very question for their May issue, The Future of Food. Alex Beggs worked on that piece, and she's here to break down some of these future food trends ahead of Earth Day tomorrow. Alex, thanks for joining us. I'm really fascinated by this topic. What foods do experts predict we will be eating 10 years from now? And what is this data based on?
Well, I want to tell you it's weird pellets and wafers and freaky things, but likely in the next 10 to 20 years, what you eat on your plate is going to look like what you're eating today. It's just behind the scenes, everything is changing, from seeds that are drought resistant to lab grown meat. So it might look a little bit different, but nothing too crazy. And it's all based on tons of research, work with, inside the big food companies that are innovating on things like lab grown meat, and also working with research firms like Nielsen that tracks every facet of American eating and cooking. So they're not waving, their hands over a crystal ball and chanting lentils.
Alex, how is climate change impacting our food system?
Well, yeah, happy Earth Day. As you might guess, it is affecting our food system in every way, but in the coming decades, what could have the biggest effect is the increased risk of extreme drought, especially in places like the American West and California, where anything that requires water to grow, so everything from avocados to wine, could be at risk. And so that's a big one, but thankfully there are a lot of researchers working on new ways to grow food indoors and breeding seeds that can be more drought resilient.
Yeah, okay, man. So, in the coming future, we're going to be growing up. Our children will be growing up. A lot of other people will be becoming more and more accustomed to genetically modified food. And come to find out, they say certain different genres of health, wealth, and sex will be more in demand in the next 10 to 20 years. No wonder why. Because all of this shit that they genetically modifying and growing in labs, it's not going to have none of the nutrients. It's not going to have any of the vitamins or essential things that you need as far as minerals and vitamins and different things like that, calcium and different mannerisms like that, as far as what we need to intake. Now, if they genetically modifying every goddamn thing down to the damn bell peppers and then lab grown meat, what the fuck? This is what I say. They not gonna know about things that we grew up with, as far as the animals or the plants that we got these things from. They just gonna know it for what it is, or for what it ain't, rather. Oh, where did it come from? Oh, it used to come from this, and then eventually, oh no, this just come from such and such factory. This is the beginning stages of the future, and what people not peeping, and I'm gonna keep expressing this. It's sad. They keep saying it's gonna be a drought. They talking about it's gonna be a drought on water. It's gonna be a drought on rain. It's gonna be a drought on the natural ecosystem. And once the natural ecosystem dies out or dries out, that's when it will be the beginning of a new era of man as far as AI, smart computers, and different things like this. This is why they already getting, not only they're self-ready to be able to consume things outside of nature, because everything in the future is going to be man-made. So then it's not going to be anything you can tell them about anything, because they created everything. They are becoming, they making a system into the God that everybody worship.
So I'm staying optimistic.
Avocados and wine is not good news.
Funny.
What other food items what other food items do they predict will become extinct? And what's being done to prevent that from happening?
Yeah, those poor avocados have had a rough year. So they're always on the chopping block. They require so much water to grow. Coffee, cocoa beans, salmon's predicted to be extinct by 2050. But again, for every ingredient on the threat of extinction, there's scientists and companies out there working on solutions like farm-grown salmon, and there's a new coffee breed that's very resilient to harsh conditions and can grow. Avocados, I'm rooting for them.
They creating all this shit to withstand harsh conditions. So they already predicted. They already know what the fuck is coming. People don't understand. People, oh man. I don't think people really understand. I really don't think people really understand. People don't, either people don't care, or maybe they just don't know. Information is going to be so hard to obtain. It's going to be impossible. You know why? Just like my last video, they're going to be sending them to goddamn, they professional serial killers after everybody that got information, or anybody that goes up against what they deem as real or fake. They're growing or genetically modifying and working in labs to create crops and lab-grown meat that can withstand harsh conditions. So they know that in the next 10, 20 years, we're going to go through extreme conditions where it's going to kill off everything and some of the population in the process. What is going to be happening in between that time? It's going to be history being written in between that time. And I used to always wonder, why you only hear about a handful of people, but you don't hear about the people in between a lot of other people. Because a lot of people that's in between people, they ain't doing nothing. They just sitting around letting this shit happen right in front of them. They ain't paying attention to what's really going on and how they really telling you that the world is finna come to a complete end. But we got y'all just come follow us. We finna end this shit, but come follow us though. Cause it's not the world finna end. It's these people that done already built so much bullshit on top of bullshit and polluted the world to a point where it's at no return. Know why? Because they want to continue to build upon the bullshit and pollution. And now they have technology. So now they're finna goddamn build technology on top of everything that they had ever built. Why do you think they have all these flying cars? there ain't gonna be no fucking roads no more. They're gonna be too damn tore up. It's gonna be too cluttered. It's gonna be, the infrastructure is gonna be not here anymore. Why do you think they growing this shit? And then they got a whole bunch of people that talking about she optimistic. You know they growing this shit for harsh conditions, but you still optimistic. What? That's like I see a person loading up his fucking gun, getting ready to goddamn shoot me, and I'm still optimistic that he ain't gonna choose to shoot me once he get done loading up his gun. What the fuck? Yeah.
Get even more expensive than they already are, but I have a feeling that none of them will disappear in the dinosaur way.
Unbelievable to imagine that no.
Talking about in the dinosaur way. It's already animals that's on the verge of going extinct. So they're not talking about a lot of these different animals that people don't eat. This is the shit that we don't pay attention to. A lot of people don't. We can't even care. It's so much. They have so much illusion in front of us. We can't even care about the other natural animals and elements and plants that are actually disappearing and going completely extinct because of the pollution and the negative infrastructure that they have placed on top of the earth.
Salmon on our plates, but we'll remain hopeful. I'm really interested in this part of your piece. You also discuss air protein as a key ingredient in finding new alternatives for protein. Can you explain how that works?
Yeah, it sounds like you snap your fingers and fried chicken appears, but air protein is another great branding for cell-cultured meat, also known as lab-grown meat, which stem cells in a lab are collected, put in these reactors, they're fed nutrients, and they grow over the span of weeks to months into chicken, beef, pork, ducks. There's lab-grown salmon in the works. And so the experts I spoke to think those will be in stores in the next 5 to 10 years. I think time will tell. I've already tried lab-grown dairy in Brave Robot ice cream, so that's molecularly the same as milk, but it's animal-free, so it's very cool. Tastes like ice cream.
How did it taste?
You know, it tastes the same. It doesn't. Yeah.
Are there any concerns about the harmful effects of genetically modified foods?
I don't know if technically they would call them, well, yeah, they're genetically modified, but not that I know.
See, this is the stutter that they give you when they don't want to tell the truth, but they are forced to give you a yearning for the thing that you may or may not believe in. She gonna say, yeah, genetically modified. Well, I don't think they're supposed to be called GMO, but that's what it is. It's genetically modified, so there's nothing real about that. Then you lied and said that you tasted it and it tasted the same. You know you're lying. But by the time this shit get here, people won't have no alternative. So of course it's gonna taste good. That's like if you would introduce your child to McDonald's before home cooked meals. Of course the McDonald's is gonna taste good. And of course they may not want other things that's cooked at home because they have a taste for something else that they were first introduced to. That's why I try not to. I don't give my daughter any genetically modified food as far as like fast food and different shit like that or other shit. She turned that shit down herself. And then to know that in the future, guess what? She gonna be thankful that I didn't do that. Know why? Because when she forced to eat or have to survive off of the shit that everybody gonna have to survive off of, she gonna have at least people like that gonna have a leg up. Because just imagine if you've been feeding or you've been indulging in all of this unhealthy food just because you wanted to, and then by the time 5 or 10, they say 5 and 10 years, so that means this is when it's going to continue to happen. So the next 10 to 15 years, then they're going to have nothing but genetically modified food. There's going to be no other healthier, it's not going to be a healthy substitute anybody can go to anymore. It's just going to be that. And that shit is just going to kill people off at a alarming rate, I'm assuming. That shit gonna be worse than McDonald's itself. You hear me?
So, and in fact, the meat that's grown in these very sterile labs is
Very sterile lab.
lower at risk for contaminants that you might have in an animal processing facility like E. coli and Salmonella.
As we head into Earth Day.
Thank you. I'm glad. Okay. That's why she pointed that out. It's a sterile lab, unlike the unhealthy way we be slaughtering the animals now that we eat when I go out to restaurants and get my steak medium rare or completely rare. So did you accidentally or purposely blame the animal for being in the predicament to get slaughtered a certain way, which causes bacteria and other diseases that can be transmitted to people? So did you just accidentally try to blame the animal for being in a slaughterhouse, getting slaughtered all type of unhumane ways, tortured, but you try to blame the animal? But you work for the same people that are genetically modifying the food, and then y'all trying to blame certain diseases that come from the byproduct of y'all creating these slaughterhouses and beating and killing these animals like that. Y'all got to be crazy.
What sustainable changes can the food industry implement to offset the impact of climate change?
Oh gosh, I feel I'm nobody's boss, but it could be everything from grocery stores looking at their food waste and how they're dealing with that, which is not something you think about when you're at the store and you don't get that bruised apple. Where does it go? What effects does that have? But I'm also rooting for more regenerative farm.
So we not think. Hold on. See, you see how they see. That's why I say I go back to a lot of my different videos. That's what I say, man. It's all about being in the future now. She said, we're not thinking about where do those bruised apples go when we in the store. You see how easy it is for them to use reverse psychology and make us look at each other and say, hold on, you don't recycle? Ew. You eat meat? Ew. You do this? Ew. Oh, you do that? Ew. Oh, you're not an environmentalist? Ew. Oh, you don't know about the earth? Ew. Oh, you don't believe in Jesus? Oh, no. Oh, hell no. But everybody not everybody, the people, the powers that be that created all of these goddamn ideologies that we either like or dislike, they always have a way of having us look at each other as the person that did it. Just like she just did multiple times. First, she just tried to blame the fucking animals at the goddamn slaughterhouse for having E. coli and other diseases that can be passed on to humans. How the fuck is that the problem of the animal? Because you didn't say, oh, this is the reason why we shouldn't have slaughterhouses and all this shit. No. And then you try to say goddamn animal farming facilities. Man, stop playing. You know what that shit is. Exactly. That old, that educated ass term for a slaughterhouse. Congratulations. And then you went to saying, when we at the store and we get our apples or fruit or any vegetable for that matter, we don't think about where the bruised ones go after that. See, you read in between the lines. That's see, this wild, man. Maybe it's just me. That's that's not disrespectful as far as, oh man, she hurt my feelings. No, these people are spitting in our face. They saying we created this bullshit transaction right here, and goddamn hoarded all of everybody's resources, bundled them up, put them into sections, pretty little sections at food stores, overly stocked it, overly took what we more than what we needed because we wanted to sell it and make a profit from it. And now that it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, we seeing that this shit is a detriment to everybody, even our children. And let's blame the people that go to the stores and have to, let's blame the people that we forced to go to the store and buy this shit, and blame them for the reason why some of this shit or most of that shit go to waste. Hold on. How you gonna blame us? Why would you even say, why would we don't think about it? What do you mean? Why would I think about something, about where it's going, when I'm forced to come here and pay for free items? I'd rather have only bananas. I would rather only have one or two items from fruit, a fruit section, one or two items from, or 3 or 4 items from the vegetable section, and one meat to choose from. If I was have to just say I wanted to get shit on my own out here, as far as trading or farming on my own. If I was farming on my own, I wouldn't have a whole grocery store for fucking farm. That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. So if I wanted to make my own farm, I wouldn't try to goddamn raise cows, sheep, goddamn chickens, turkeys, goddamn pig. I wouldn't try to raise all that shit and slaughter all that shit to kill and eat just to have different varieties of meat to eat. Who in their fucking right mind would? Pay attention. Pay attention. Ask yourself this. If you see this video, ask yourself, would you want to have your own small farm with just you and your family, and have all the varieties of meat that we are got access to now, and then you and your family be the only ones have to continue to slaughter them animals after you breed them, raise them, and do that shit over and over and over, just to have a steak one day, just to have pork chops one day, just to have chicken one day. No, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it to one. So if I'm going, okay, I might have chicken, yeah, and I have that, yeah. I'm not gonna kill my chickens, my pigs, my cows, my sheeps, and I ain't finna go through all that. And I'm damn sure I ain't finna goddamn try to goddamn plant, strawberry tree, blueberry tree, goddamn oranges, pineapples. I ain't finna try to do that shit. I can't. You can't do all that shit. See, this is what the illusion. They took everything and gave it to us in abundance and think like, oh, look at all these selections we got. But in reality, y'all are conjuring up all of the resources and depleting them, because now you have to take them from their natural environment and transport them to different locations around the world to satisfy everybody's thirst for the shit that you done put in front of us. And now they gonna have to create genetically modified versions of some of the shit. You see that? You see what she said? Some of that shit. Most of this shit is so unique and so in tune with the universe, you can't recreate that shit. There's only certain shit you're gonna be able to recreate. And they're gonna be able to recreate, unfortunately, probably the most unhealthiest versions of everything. Look, they were trying to create genetically modified ice cream already. Really? Out of everything, y'all genetically modified ice cream? So, in a drought, where the fuck are we going to even get, so in harsh conditions, what is it going to be ice cream that can't even melt? Or does it even get cold? I don't even want to ask.
So, small local farms that use practices that regenerate the soil so it has more nutrients, and then that runs off into our water system, and it's just good for the planet overall. And when we have supply chain breakdowns like we saw in COVID, we'll have a local food system that's there to support us. So that's what I'm kind of rooting for.
Alex, it's all so interesting. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks
Well,
for
keep
having me.
rooting, girl. Keep rooting,
And
Alex.
read Alex's full article in Bon Appetit's May issue, available now.
That probably is a good book. I might have to get that. Keep it the style for the style. Nah, we out. Appreciate it.